just done it from nowhere.
Nick Davis! The miracle on grass!
To Zaharakis!
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Dickheads Talksport podcast. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Jed.
And we're just a couple of dickheads talking about sports we like. Okay, so AFL round 4 wrapped up this week. And so we're recording on a Monday, so all games have happened this time around.
Which is a bonus. Obviously, it's holidays off school. Get to record when they're all over. A lot of news coming out of the AFL this week, obviously, with Victoria and obviously COVID. It's kind of coming back into Victoria a lot, and it could really affect Victorian teams. Obviously, Collingwood and Geelong going out to Perth in the hub, but Richmond have this morning been blocked from going to Perth because of the outbreak in Victoria. So hopefully it doesn't take too much of a impact down in Victoria. All games will be being played elsewhere, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But obviously you've seen obviously there's fans in the Gold Coast, Adelaide and Perth at the moment, which is a good sign. And but you hope to see that obviously in Victoria soon. Obviously the main ground in the AFL is not getting fans to.
So this week kicked off with Sydney and the Bulldogs up in Sydney, and well, I'm not particularly happy with this because I did tip the Swans, and
Yeah, pretty disappointing from the Swans. Obviously they were kept in the game by Tom Papley kicking 4 of their 5 goals.
oh god,
Which is pretty bad from the Sydney forward line, but he's a top player, and I think Carlton missed out on him in the off season. So they didn't really put much into the game. Sydney, they were a bit poor. Obviously, Bulldogs winning 67-39. Bontempelli had a really good game. Swans had a few good players, few good passages, but Dogs were just too good on the night.
the Bulldogs have been showing up the last couple of weeks, and they're really showing what they could,
Yeah,
what they
definitely.
can do, and what people did expect at first at the start
They
of the
also
season.
have a really good list, but obviously they started the season 0-2.
Yeah.
But they've really fought back now after beating
So they beat GWS the week before.
GWS and then obviously the Swans on Thursday night. So they've really brought their season back on track to be level at 2-2. Don't know where they're sitting on the ladder, but they were sitting very low 2 weeks ago, and people were asking, are they going to be good or not? But they've really replied, and I think well, they've got they have North next week, which is be a pretty big game. Obviously, Doggies to go 3-2 to win the last 3 would be pretty good after their poor start.
I mean, they've certainly got the momentum to do so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll go to Friday night. It was a pretty good game up in Sydney.
It was.
Giants just getting over the line over Collingwood. Few headlines from this game. Obviously, well, first of all, we'll just talk about how the Giants went. Obviously, they haven't started the season too well. Obviously, it's hard to beat them up there. And I always hate playing a team when they've got a point to prove, because I feel like they just always win. But obviously, you had Toby Green who had a ripper game. Whitfield, I think Collingwood really shut down the forwards, the tall forwards. Obviously, Cameron didn't do much and then kicked that sealer at the end. Obviously, the big thing coming out was Jeremy Howe's injury.
Well, this was just terrible to watch.
Yeah, obviously, Collingwood in their top 3 players of the season so far. Jeremy Howe, his marking's been sensational. Obviously, unlucky to be late in the last quarter. That's the end of his season probably. Was it PCL injury in his knee? Didn't look good.
Legs
Went
are
down
not
straight
supposed to
away.
bend that way.
Obviously, some other good players from that game. Obviously, Pendlebury's looking very good this year. I think he'd be up there in the votes at the moment. Probably polled a good amount of votes so far. 26 disposals again on the weekend. Doesn't look older. Doesn't look like he's getting any older at all. And then it's a reoccurring factor with this player, still side bottom. when he gets attention, he doesn't do much. So obviously he was tagged by De Boer, who did a really good job on him, and he did the same in last year's prelim. Also, back in the 2018 grand final, he didn't do a lot still because he got attention. I think in big games he goes missing a bit. And I feel if Steele did a lot on the Friday night, they could have got over the line. What are thoughts on the Cameron Cox in and out? What are your thoughts? Does Cox get another gig or should he be replaced again?
Yeah, he should definitely be replaced. Like, he was very poor on the day.
I feel like it's a hard one because it was a bit dewy up there. It's a hard one, obviously, in being that tall, but he had a lot of open marks that he should have taken. But I don't know. They took Cameron out because he took 2 marks, but the week before he had 8, so I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do. I think Cox, he's a bit... He's had about 4 good games in his career. It's just because they've all been big games that they rate him highly.
Like, there was several occasions where he could have taken a big mark, and he just failed to deliver. I think he did get a goal late in the game, which did bring Collingwood back, but unfortunately, Jeremy Cameron did get that late one as well.
Zach Williams, he had a very good first half, and then sadly he got injured as well. I'm not quite sure what he did, but
yeah, I'm not sure either. No, he was on the bench for a long time.
Him and Phil Davis, obviously at half time, getting injured, so they were down to 20. But Zach Williams, really, really good player the last couple of years for the Giants, but don't know how long he's out for. So hopefully it's not long for them. But yeah, it was a pretty good game, and it's coming up the last couple of days. I think Kane Corns and Wayne Carey have stated on it that the umpires are being unfair to Toby Green.
Usually, I don't agree with what Kane Corns has to say, but
I think this
definitely
one,
right in this case.
On Friday, he doesn't get a lot of free kicks.
No, he definitely doesn't.
He obviously played a ripper game, taking some great marks, but yeah, I think he hasn't really had the luck with the umpires recently.
He just has that reputation of being like a rough player, and the umps just don't like that. And like, there's a lot of free kicks against him that you see, and almost just none for him.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll move on to Port Adelaide versus West Coast, and this was another smashing by Port.
They're looking pretty good.
Port moved to 4-0 at the top of the table, and obviously they did play a big side of West Coast, but obviously West Coast not being in the greatest of form, not like a lot of clubs are at the moment who aren't. Not a lot of clubs are in good form. Like obviously Collingwood hadn't lost before. Essendon's first loss was on this weekend. So there's not a lot of teams in good form at the moment except for Port and probably the Suns.
It just shows what Port can do this year, and if the season does continue as it is, then they're looking strong for the premiership.
They'll definitely be up there. Obviously, Jeremy McGovern was a laid out, which is always bad for West Coast, and obviously their stars still having, like, Gaps had a brilliant year. But the big talk of the game was Charlie Dixon moves to 11 goals for the season on top of the Coleman, kicking 6 goals.
Very impressive game. Also had 15 touches and 7 marks.
Yeah, he just dominated. I think he's really... I reckon he could do a lot more than what he does. He's really big, strong player, good mark. Obviously coming over from the Suns, he wasn't great there. But I feel like he can really improve and become a really strong forward in the competition. Also, Josh Kennedy kicked 4, but they kicked 6 for the night. Obviously, West Coast haven't had a good time up in the Gold Coast.
No.
So West Coast do slip to 1 and 3, and that probably hasn't happened for a while.
I bet they can't wait to go back to WA.
Oh yeah, they'll be very happy to go up there. Okay, now we'll move on. Probably the upset of the round, maybe one of the only couple of upsets of the round. Saints beating Richmond by 26 points.
I think everyone underestimated the Saints after their somewhat poor performance against the Pies.
Yeah, obviously they got a bit of a reality check last week, and they've really responded. Being Dan Butler against his old side, coming out, kicked 3 goals. He probably nearly won them the game. Very
impressive performance, but only downside is Bradley Hill went down with an injury, I believe.
Yes, he did.
Do you know what it is? Because I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but well, now the Tigers are still, they've only got the one win this season. That was before the break. So they haven't won since the restart. Obviously, they got that draw against Collingwood, but it hasn't started well for the Tigers.
Also, another impressive stat from the Saints. They kicked 15-3.
Yeah, so really straight kicking.
You don't see a lot of that anymore.
No, you don't. But yeah, I think it's Saints are. I reckon they'll be good this year. As you can see, obviously don't know what's happening down at Tigerland at the moment, but hasn't started well after the break.
I mean, the Saints are definitely playing like a top 8 side
They are
recently.
at the moment, yeah. I don't know what's going on with Richmond's forward line. Jack hasn't done anything. Lynch has been alright, probably their best forward. Obviously, they dropped Pickett and Rioli for this game, but they still didn't really do anything. So the Tigers are going to really have to respond in the next upcoming weeks.
Alright. Gold Coast Freo.
Yep. So that was another win for the Suns.
Matt Rowell impressing
Matt
again.
Rowell, another outstanding game with he had 20 and 2 goals with 5 tackles.
Fantastic. Gold Coast are just looking so good.
They're good to watch at the moment.
I mean, I know you
Obviously,
could say that they're playing because they've got the home ground advantage
Yeah.
last few weeks, so maybe
Yeah.
when they play away they might not do as well, but
Well, I think they played one away game this year, and that was against Port before the break, and they lost that. But they're looking good at the moment. Obviously, the big news was Nat Fife, came off with a hamstring injury.
yeah, that's tough
And
for Freo. As
you
if they
hope it's
weren't
not
having
long.
a bad season already.
Well, Freo, the thing about Freo, they haven't played bad.
No, they've just been really unlucky.
They've lost by a couple of goals every game, pretty much. They were close with the Suns until the last quarter. But they slipped to 0-4. They need a win soon.
They're 0-4, but they don't look bad compared to like the team that Eagle bottom with.
Oh yeah, but I think they just need that. They need a win. They need to just get that win on the board. Which, if they scrape through 2 wins earlier with their 6-point loss to the Bombers, I think it would have really boosted their season to go. And then the last game for Saturday night
Carlton and Essendon.
was Carlton Essendon, and that was, I think Carlton deserved to win by more. Obviously a pretty good game. Obviously love seeing the Bombers lose. Some pretty impressive performances by the Blues. Doherty had 32 disposals. He's really obviously injured the last 2 seasons, was he?
Yeah.
Yep, come back and he started really well. Cunningham had 28, Gibbons 25. Cripps did have 20. I think he's been a bit quiet compared to what he can do. I think other players are really stepping up. You had Casbolt, who had 9 marks and kicked 3 goals.
3 straight as well. Oof,
And
you love to see it.
Pitnet, 20 hit-outs again. He's had a good start with the Blues this season. But yeah, they're getting those wins back on the board, the Blues. And the Bombers, that's their first loss. Obviously, they missed out last week against Melbourne, didn't play, but they're 2-1 at the moment.
So what will happen with the Melbourne game?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
'Cause I'm not sure how they're going to fit it in with the rest.
We might just have to play it
schedule.
later
Yeah.
in the season or something.
Yeah,
We'll
maybe
have to wait and see.
Anyway, the thing I love about this game is that Liam Jones won the game with a Falcon.
With a Falcon, yeah, that was very...
You love to see it.
Yeah. Obviously, probably the biggest news out of the game was Zach Merritt. Getting suspended for
smacking Jack
a
Silvani.
week. Yeah, obviously didn't look like he really hit him at the first break, but you see, obviously he's got a fractured rib and bruised lungs.
Yeah, that's not good.
So obviously he's got him with probably a knuckle maybe in somewhere. Obviously it probably doesn't take much, but moving at that speed and you come in, it's probably a bit of a cowardly move a bit. But
It's just very unnecessary when you
like,
watch it back.
obviously when you're running at someone, you try and tackle him, but he wasn't really near him and he just clubbed him with the one hand.
Just seemed very late.
Yeah. And I was like, he hasn't touched him or anything.
Yeah.
But then you see it and you're like, oh, he has a bit.
And then you find out what happened
Yeah,
to
you know.
Silvani, and then you
Jeez.
realise, yeah, fair enough.
Poor. He looked in a lot of pain
Yeah.
as well, so poor boy.
Mm.
Alright, so now we'll go to Sunday.
We can finally talk about the Sunday games.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Alright, so the first one was a bit of a...
This was a weird one.
Brisbane, Adelaide.
So the news about Adelaide, they dropped Matt Crouch, who's probably their
one of their best players.
They dropped Matt Crouch, and then Fogarty got injured about an hour or two before the game, and they brought in a new recruit who was, I think, like a ruckman, instead of bringing in Bryce Gibbs. And it was raining.
Yeah.
It was a rainy day as well. So they're not... Matthew Nix, obviously not a great coach, I don't reckon, at the moment. Not really making the right decisions.
I don't think we can put all the blame on the coach. I think the club itself just isn't in a good place right now.
Yeah, and obviously...
I mean, they took out Matt Crouch and they put in a bloody ruckman.
Yeah, so some of the big stats from that game. So Lachie Neale and Hugh McGluggage combined for 55 disposals and 1 goal 11. So Lachie Neale kicked 0 goals 6 and McGluggage kicked 1 goal 5. The Lions kicked 10 goals 23. So they could have won by nearly 100 points if they kicked straight. Obviously, it was in the rain, but yeah, bit of an odd game.
I think Adelaide's first half was really poor, but in the second half they seemed to pick it up.
Yeah.
But then Brisbane, I mean, if their
Kick
goal kicking
straight,
was much better,
would have been blown
like
out
it
of the
probably should
park.
have been.
So yeah, not a lot to talk about that game except for the poor kicking of Brisbane and the stupid decisions by Adelaide with their team management and stuff like that. And then another great game on the weekend, Melbourne Geelong. Didn't watch his personally.
Another close one.
But
this always proves to be a good fixture of the last few years.
Yeah, well, it started off with a very low scoring game being 14-15 at half time. And then Geelong did kick away to be up by 3 goals at 3/4 time, and then Melbourne made a comeback but just missed out by 3 at the end.
So it seems like Geelong's last quarters have been great recently. Or am I getting that wrong?
Well, they did come back.
Oh, no, sorry,
goals
that's
in the
the
last
other way
quarter
around.
against Carlton.
So they've done the
last
opposite of what
week,
they
and
did. Sorry.
Well, Melbourne did only kick 3 in the last quarter, but in a low scoring game,
That's huge.
it's a big game. Obviously, the Cats are sitting in 6th, and the D's sitting down at 15th with only the 1 win. So that would have been a big one to win to go 2-2. And yeah, so not the greatest of games, but it was a nice close one. And then another close one to finish off the round. Played at Marvel. Was Hawks North, with Hawks hitting over the line by 4 points. Pretty close throughout the whole game, except Hawks did kick away to lead at 3/4 time by 3 goals. I think they led by 30 at one stage as well.
Yeah, they did.
And then North tried to make a comeback just like the D's, but they missed out by 4.
Yeah, that was tough. That last 5 minutes, Curtis Taylor had a shot on goal after. Well, him and Ben Brown both took a mark. Basically, he just held onto the ball and then he just took it off him. But Ben Brown really should have taken that set shot. He probably would have kicked the goal, I think.
I think North are really showing something this year.
So they're currently 9th.
Being 2-2, probably could potentially be 4-0. Obviously, a tough loss to Sydney last week and then a 4-point loss.
I think the biggest loss for us was not having Cunnington
was
both of those
that
weeks.
2 weeks in a row. Cunnington laid out. Obviously, Patton was a laid out for Hawks. Obviously, Hawks are now in the top 4, 3-1. I think the few key stats from that game.
Warper looked really good that game.
Wingard kicked 3. Warper had 24. Higgins had 30, which was a pretty good game. But not a lot of other. Goldstein had 9 clearances, 30 hit-outs and 18 disposals.
I think he leads for clearances in the league this season.
Obviously, I think now that you can take it out of the ruck, ruckmans are just getting it and kicking it out.
Can't say I blame him.
Great stat. Great way to get it in the forward line. Which is really, I think, really helped North with their ruckman dominating. Again, obviously trying to get back to his best that he was at. Really good. He's obviously one of the top ruckmen in the league still. But with him getting 9 clearances a game, it's probably really helping.
Absolutely.
Not quite sure if those clearances led to anything, or maybe they're just grabbing snaps out of the pack. Probably what they are, but it's working. And obviously North, pretty promising start to the season, being 2-2, with the potential of being at least 3-1.
So I think the question is like, what do we reckon of this week of footy? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it a bit of both?
I reckon it was a good week of footy. I think on field it was a good week. Maybe off field it was a bit poor. Obviously the umpires weren't great this week. Obviously the Collingwood game, they were paying everything.
Yeah, they were very lenient
45
with.
free kicks or something. They were pretty much paying everything, whether it was a free kick or not. I think they were paying things that weren't free kicks and not paying things that were free kicks a lot of the time. They were just. It was a bit annoying to watch because every contest there was hardly any ball ups because every contest was just free kick, find a free kick, give it. And also I think this week, I'm not a fan of the commentary this year.
Okay, what's your reasoning behind this?
So there's one point that I think they should look at, and I think players who've played AFL shouldn't commentate their old team.
Okay,
Obviously,
yeah.
Matthew
I get that.
Richardson shouldn't because I think they're too biased towards their team. Matthew Richardson for Richmond, Nick Riewoldt, bit of Wayne Carey, obviously Eddie Maguire. I don't think he should commentate Collingwood.
Or Port. Probably he loves the prison bar jumpers.
Because I think they're really... So Nick Riewoldt, when we played St Kilda, did not say a word about Collingwood the whole game pretty much, and we were winning the whole game. They just base their whole thing on their own team, and I think even the Collingwood-Richmond game, even though Richo wasn't commentating, I think commentators have to stop being, like, equal out who they're talking about. I think they talk about Richmond.
So it's a bit like Bruce then.
Yeah, so I think like even BT talks a lot about Richmond, like in that game. Like there was a passage of play where Collingwood built the ball all the way up the field and kicked a goal, and all they could talk about was how good Richmond's pressure was in that play, even though Collingwood moved it all the way up the field and kicked a goal, which is a tad annoying to hear when they could be congratulating Collingwood for the ball movement that they've just scored from. I think one of the big calls of the week was Luke Darcy and Mark Howard commentating on Saturday night the Carlton Essendon game, and I don't know which one. It might have been Luke Darcy, I don't know, but they both agreed. He said Eddie Betts is the best small forward in the game.
Okay, I mean he definitely can be, but he isn't.
Was, but not now.
Not anymore.
I think he realised that because he was just trying to. After that, he was just trying to back up his point a bit, like just talk about him for the next 20 minutes. But he hasn't really done much since he's come back to Carlton. Obviously, he's only played a couple of games, but he's definitely passed it a bit. But I can definitely name a few small forwards that are better than him this year at the moment.
Good appearance from Siri there.
Didn't even say.
Oh, who knows? Anyway, but small forward, you'd like Charlie Cameron.
Charlie Cameron, Tom Papley. Obviously the Richmond small forward. Castagna's probably better than him.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Dan Butler now.
He had a very good game.
Classified as a small forward, probably better than probably Willie Rioli. I think he's kicked 7 goals this year. I was surprised. I haven't watched a West Coast game, so I was pretty surprised.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a considerable amount better than Eddie at the moment. I think. Can you classify Stringer as a small forward?
I don't know if I'd say he's a small forward.
I'd still probably take Stringer over Eddie Betts because he's more impactful. But yeah, he's probably not a small forward. But yeah, I think you can name a good amount that are better than him at the moment. And obviously the Friday night game. Obviously, I was watching Wayne Carey. I wasn't enjoying him commentating. Obviously, he was really bigging up Shane Mumford on Friday, saying that he was really dominating Grundy. I don't know how, because Grundy had 47 hitouts, 5 marks and 19 disposals, and Mumford had, I think, 19 hitouts and 8 disposals. So,
look,
when a ruckman nearly has 50 hitouts, I think you can't say the other one's dominated.
like at first I wasn't really paying attention, so I didn't notice it, and then you pointed it out to me, and then I couldn't stop hearing it.
Yeah, because obviously Ruckman don't get really 20 disposals a lot of the games, and Grundy's picked up nearly 50 hitouts and 20 disposals in one, and he didn't compliment him once.
It's just because he's just a big boy.
Yeah, and I think they all think Grundy should do better than that, but 47 hitouts and 20 disposals of Ruckman's insane.
Commentary's just a real hit and miss.
Yeah, I think they're really. I don't think they're really experienced now, because they've got players that have come out of the AFL maybe 5-10 years ago, who have just come in and just. Obviously, you got the experience of Bruce and BT and things like that, but I just think they're really non-experienced and not really know what they're doing. They just talk about who they want to talk about and not what they should talk about.
I just miss Dennis.
Yeah.
He just kept it real.
Yeah,
like
he brings the hype to the game. Like, the commentators now are really boring.
Apart from BT, he's got a good catchphrase here and there.
And I like when they get up and about and loud. Obviously, Bruce can do it as well. And when he gets really up and going, it's good to be watching. But players like Richard and Lingy...
Yeah, they're not very hype commentators.
No. Lingy's another example, watching Geelong. Wayne Carey's boring. Yeah. Nick Rewalt doesn't have a commentary voice. His voice is just annoying. But yeah, it's just annoying to watch, and it just annoys people, I reckon.
Yeah, I'll say it.
Yeah. It was a pretty entertaining week of football.
So I think the standout teams, you got the Saints, Bulldogs,
obviously
Gold Coast again,
Gold Coast,
Port Adelaide.
Probably all the players in the top, all the teams in the top 4 or 5.
So pretty much every team that won looked really good.
Yeah. Obviously, GWS looked alright. I think Collingwood didn't play too great.
Like, some of the skills in that game weren't amazing.
Yeah. Oh, there's one.
And then all the
one
free
more
kicks.
thing I think we've forgotten about in the calmness in the game. The 90 metre penalty at the end.
Yeah, refresh my memory. I
So,
remember this.
I think there's about 20 seconds left, and I think it was Saad has a kick in, and the umpire calls play on, and Eddie Betts runs to tackle him, and he gets blocked by 2 players, and then they call 50 metres from the goal square, and Eddie Betts, and then whoever was on the mark where the 50 was standing in the centre circle. So he should have probably gone just outside the 50 line, not the centre circle. So it was pretty much a 90 metre penalty. And that, if Townsend kicked that goal, there would have been a lot of question marks around why was it so far and why was the 50 metre penalty even given. I think if it was 50 metres of what it was, they wouldn't have had that shot on goal. So the umpies haven't been great after the restart. I think it's not hard to get down pat. But it's some poor umpiring I've seen. 45 free kicks on the Friday night. Razor Ray doesn't put his whistle away. Just blows for everything.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to watch a week of footy and not complain about the umpires, but this week just seems
stood out
worse than normal. All right, so Jed's got his round 4 votes for us. Go for it.
So another good week of footy with some votes. So start off with Dogs v Swans. I've gone. So Bont gets 1, Papley gets 2, and Tim English gets the 3.
Okay.
Had a very impressive performance. Obviously the Bulldogs ruckman. 17 hit-outs, a goal, and 22 disposals.
Yeah, fair enough.
So pretty impressive. So the Pies Giants game, I've actually gone 3 Pies players. Obviously,
Ooh,
I think
controversial.
Whitfield could have gotten in there, but he didn't really impact the game a lot. He just had touches, like they weren't really effective. And obviously, Toby Green did kick 3 goals, but didn't get a lot of the ball other than that. So I've gone Darcy Moore for the 1. He had 10 marks across the half-back line. I think he had 20-odd disposals as well. And I think he's kept us in it with Howe. Howe was probably stiff not to get in there as well. And then 2 votes I've gone Grundy. Obviously we've talked about him before. 47 hit-outs, 20 disposals, 5 marks. And then 3, I think he's probably our best player at the moment, Scott Pendlebury. I
Absolutely.
think he looks like he's 20, like the way he just runs around and the shape he's in. And there's obviously a case of how much longer can he go for? Will he get to 400?
What's he on now?
305.
How old is he? Like 32?
Yeah, but the
Oh,
shape he's in, who knows?
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
I reckon he could get close. There's probably another 3 or 4 seasons after this to get to. But you never know. If he keeps in this shape, I reckon he'll get there.
Because he's never had like a bad injury.
No,
has he?
he's had a couple small injuries, but not really a long-term one.
Mm.
Alright, so I'll go Port Eagles. I've gone one to Hamish Hartlett, 2 to Gaff, and then 3 to Dixon, who kicked 6. Saints Tigers, I've gone 1 to Steele. I think he had 10 tackles and 20 odd disposals. Butler, obviously kicking the 3 and having 15, 20 disposals, really tore the game apart. And then 3, I've gone Shane Edwards. He had a very, very good game, obviously. Probably a pretty underrated player at the Tigers. Obviously, he gets shadowed by Dustin Martin, players like that. That's who everyone just talks about. The Bombers versus the Blues, I've gone 1 with Casbolt. I think he got 9 marks. Really stood up, kicked 3 goals, I think. Pitnet, I've gone 2. Had a great start to this season with the Blues. And then 3, I've gone Doherty, who rocked 32 disposals. Really great after comeback after his injuries. Suns Freo, I've gone 1 to Brandon Ellis. He started well for the Suns. 2, I've gone Took Miller. And then 3, Matty Rowell.
Matty Rowell.
20 disposals. Can't remember how many tackles. 2 goals as well. Bloody. I saw this video where he shrugged off Nat 5 like it was nothing. It's good to see.
Fantastic.
So Lions versus Crows. I've actually gone Brad Crouch, 1 vote. He had a good game if you can pick one out. I've gone Jared Berry, 2. Yeah, I think he had 10 tackles, some in clearance, and then 3. I'd say he's probably leading the Brownlow at the moment, Lachie Neale. I think he could potentially have 4 3 voters, maybe 3. He's just dominated. Obviously, probably could have kicked 4 or 5 goals and had 30. So he had 31 disposals. He had 3 in the first quarter. So he had 28 in nearly 50 minutes of football. Okay, D's Cats, I've gone 1 Guthrie, 2 Oliver, and 3 Menangola. Had a very good game. And then the Hawks North, I've gone 1 for Goldstein, obviously, with the 9 clearances. 2 for Tom Mitchell. And then I've gone Higgins, even though he didn't racked up the 30 disposals.
So no Warple.
No Warple in there. He was in contention. Just
unlucky.
Just unlucky.
So what's the leaderboard looking like now?
So we've got a lot of players on 5 votes. So we've got Boak, Miller, Higgins, Cripps, Fife, and Clayton Oliver on 5 votes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get to the top 5. With 6, we've got Sam Doherty.
Okay.
4th, main man, Scotty Pendlebury, on 7. In 3rd on 7, we've got Gaff, who I think's had a really good start to the season, even though the Eagles. And then the top 2, probably everyone's top 2 nearly at the moment. Obviously, it's a great sign to see such a young player be this good at the start of his career. So in 2nd, I've got Matt Rowell on 8. And then my leader, probably a lot of people's leader, he's dominated. I've got Lachie Neale in 1st with 11. So he's leading by 3 votes early on in the season.
Looking very competitive up top there.
Yeah, it is. So obviously Fife was going early, but slowed down a bit. But I think you could see a leading pack of maybe 4 or 5 this season. But it's going to be interesting. If Neil can keep going with his form, I think it's his medal to lose.
Alright, I'll see. So the end of the year awards is looking pretty good right now.
Well, for Neil, if he keeps going, that could be wrapped up 3/4 away through the season. But I think Raul, if he keeps going how he is, he'll be fighting. And I think a lot of players will come through. Obviously, there's a lot of players that haven't started well, but could push in.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there was an update from Gil McLaughlin. Okay. So this brought up many topics. So they're still expecting the grand final to be at the MCG this season.
Well, that's good. I think, well, my thoughts on it are, at the time that the grand final is supposed to be played, I think whoever can get more to their ground, it should be played there. So I think, well, obviously they're thinking about playing in Optus, and there wouldn't be anywhere else you'd play it. But I think if the G can get 20,000 too, but Optus you can get 60,000 too. I think maybe you play it at Optus, because a grand final with 20,000 people at G will look like there's no one there.
It just doesn't have the same atmosphere as 60,000 would
at Optus, because that's obviously probably nearly full capacity, so it feels like it's more.
Absolutely.
If you know what I mean.
Okay, so another one is the season won't be stalled, so they'll just keep continuing as they are.
I like that. I think one thing that I find weird is how it's still shortened quarters.
Yeah.
Because I think at the start of the season they didn't really know, and I think they brought it in if they had to play more than one game a week, so players weren't as tired. But I think now that they're playing one game a week every weekend, they could put it out to back to the 20-minute quarters. And I think games are really affected by the shortened quarters because teams are going more defensive and it's really low. I don't know why it's such low scoring. Like, even though it's, 4 minutes off each quarter.
Something like that, yeah.
Teams should still be scoring highest each scores.
Like, I know a lot of people really don't like the shortened quarters, but like, doesn't bother me that much. Like, I'm fine with it.
I think people just want more footy and think that it's going to improve the scoring and things like that, which it might.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
To be high scoring if there's more time.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the biggest complaint with the restart with Collingwood Richmond. So if there was more time, would have been a draw. It was like, yeah, but draw's not the end of the world. Like, it's not that big a deal. Anyway, so next is hubs may be needed but not confirmed.
Well, as you see, there's already been a hub used up in Gold Coast.
Seems to have worked for some teams.
Collingwood and Geelong going in Perth. Have they brought that out now that Richmond have just been rejected? Obviously, Richmond will probably crack it that they have to go play up in West Coast for 3 weeks, but Collingwood and Geelong are doing it. West Coast had to go play in Gold Coast, so did Port. Obviously, Adam Simpson cracked the shit, so they had to go play in Gold Coast. But as I think, they've come out and said West Coast and Freo get 7 home games in a row at Optus, so they can't really complain.
I mean, if it was the other way around, no one would have batted an eyelid. Like Richmond, most seasons get like 7 home games
in a row. Yeah.
Right. So next is Suns and Cats will go ahead despite Queensland's new rules. So I think they may have like reinstated certain restrictions in Queensland, but I'm not.
So was it maybe because the team's coming from Victoria-ish that they couldn't have any fans at the ground?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's
actually back to what you said about playing weekly. It says that rolling fixture could be daily. So daily fixtures. Would that work?
Well, you're not going to get many viewers on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously.
Well, school holidays you might, but other than that,
I think after that, I think the AFL's really going to not.
I just don't think it would work as well.
You're not obviously the younger kids are going to watch a quarter or a bit and then have to go to bed for school and things like that. Obviously, people at work might still not watch it. There wouldn't be many actually that will watch the whole game. But if they have to do it, they have to do it to get the season done. But I wouldn't be a fan of it.
Yeah, me either. I just
obviously it's a good thing to hear footy every day. But when you think about it,
at first it might seem alright, but I just prefer the weekends to have the footy on.
Yeah.
And then during the week you just want to have the footy on.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the weekend it's great. And then lastly, AFL needs to be tougher on holding the ball. Well, so I think this goes back to Friday night. They're very lenient.
Alistair Clarkson in his press conference yesterday really had a go at the AFL and the umpires, and they said they're not paying it at all. I think this week a lot wasn't paid. Obviously they're just, even though players are not getting the rid of the ball legally, they're just saying, it got knocked out and everything. And I think they'll take this on and really tell the umpires about this, because I think it's not fun, well, obviously playing a footy game, but watching a footy game and the umpires being not great and like not really, what we say, not doing their job. Like,
when there's a free kick there, you should pay it. Like, if it's a blatant free kick, it's pretty hard to miss. And if everyone else in the commentators and the AFL and the people watching and the people playing have seen it, you should be able to see it as well.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Like, I'm not saying it's bad, obviously. I've had my time, and you miss a few, but the amount they missed on Friday night, I think...
It was pretty poor, actually.
I think the thing was, they missed a lot, so they just gave a few stupid ones just so it looked like they were doing it properly.
Yeah.
But there was some free kicks there that were not given. They were like high tackles that were on the head and everything, holding the man where they didn't have the ball for a good few seconds and things like that. I think it's just, you can't really miss the ones they did. So, it's a bit strange. But, happens a lot.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it improves, because it's better to watch when the umpires are on. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the fixtures. Obviously, the fixtures, I think, till round 7 have come out.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so if they go to games every day, be fun. You come home, there's a footy on tonight.
I think people would get very tired of it.
Yeah, obviously, if you have Carlton Adelaide on a Tuesday night, you wouldn't get anyone watching. Because obviously you get the Carlton fans watching and the Adelaide fans, but no one really want to watch that, especially the form Adelaide's in at the moment. No one's going to watch that.
I don't think I'd watch that normally, let alone on a weekday.
Yeah. And yeah, as I say, well, they probably start at 7, either 7:20, 7:40, 7:50. It'll go till past 10 o'clock and everyone will be going to bed before then. So they'll only watch a half or just over a half of the game.
It's just weird to consider some of these new rules they're considering or changes to the league.
And it's
some
good,
have been good.
It's good that they keep
others,
going with it. Obviously, it's annoying that the spike of obviously coronavirus in Victoria. Obviously, it's where the main stadium in the AFL is, the MCG.
And more than half of the teams are.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously if they stop playing in Victoria and everyone just plays everywhere else, it's not going to be bad because we can't go to the games anyway. We have to watch them either way.
I just think it's bad for some of the teams.
Yeah,
because I know teams or fans from outside Victoria probably just laughing at us saying this, but Victorian teams, if they're in a hub in Queensland or in Perth, despite WA teams just doing that, they wouldn't cope well, I don't think.
Well, yeah, because
you've seen with West Coast.
When you see it West Coast,
Queensland.
if we go up and some teams play in West Coast, some teams play Perth, some teams play in Adelaide, some teams play in Sydney. Those teams are going to get 10 home games in a row to end the season, and you'd think they'll win at least half of them. I think one good thing about Collingwood's fixture this year, by I think round 8 or round 9, round 7, I think we've one of the rounds we'd already played all the top 8 from last year, except I think all of them. So our run home is going to be pretty easy, which I like. But if it's up in Adelaide or something like that, yeah.
All right then. So moving from the world of footy to the world of football or soccer, wherever you're from. So some stuff has happened this week. First of all, big congratulations to Liverpool.
Yeah, it was a happy week for the Liverpool fans.
First league title in 30 years. Must be good.
Obviously, earliest team to do it as well. It's a good
7 games remaining.
Good title to have. Very good title to have. Earliest Premier League winners in history.
Honestly, very crazy. Despite most rival fans trying to take this away from Liverpool fans, it's only one. You've got the same as Leicester and Blackburn, and others being like, yeah, but they've got 18 other league titles, but still. I think they've got the most big trophies in England now.
Most major trophies in England, yeah.
So I think it's 48 to 45 to Liverpool over Man United.
So I'm a big fan of that.
I mean, it's a big deal, but no one wants to see it.
It is.
I think the funniest thing about it is that it came down to Man City and Chelsea, 2 of the bigger rivals for Liverpool.
Yeah, and obviously Chelsea have done it before with Leicester, winning a game to win the title, and it's Chelsea
won you the title. Well, they didn't win us 30 odd games that we've won already.
It's just funny to consider because I was just debating. It's like, do I watch the game? Is it worth it? Because I didn't think Chelsea would win at all.
Yeah, I was feeling quite confident that they were going to do it. Obviously, it was great that it was against City. Obviously, the team that we've been rivaling the last couple of years to win it. Obviously, a good feeling when they got the couple goals and the final whistle goes, and you're champions. So
I think I got through 10 minutes of the game. I was like, I'd rather sleep. And then I woke up and saw that Chelsea won. I was like, oh, so it's actually happened. Liverpool champions now. And then I saw the goals, like Pulisic's goal. Fantastic. Then De Bruyne just absolutely wellied a free kick top left, and then Willian got that penalty.
Yeah, with Fernandinho whacking it off the goal line. So obviously, as their champions, a bit of it will be about Liverpool. So we go. So obviously Klopp, obviously didn't win a trophy for a couple of years that he was there at the start, but now he's won Premier League, Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup. This was the first XI the first 11 that Klopp had when he started. So he had Mignolet in goals. Obviously, he's playing in Belgium now. He had Alberto Moreno, Sacco, Skirtle, and Klein at the back. So they're all gone. He had Emre Can, James Milner, and Lucas Leiva in the midfield. And the front three was Lallana, Origi, and Coutinho.
God, that's a weird team.
So now, when you think about it, it's Mane, Salah, Firmino, or Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and then Henderson. Obviously, Milner's still there. You got Keita there as well, and then the back is Robertson, Van Dijk. We go Lovren, Matip, Gomez, and then Trent, and then obviously Alisson. So he's done a lot of good at the club.
Well, I think Liverpool's biggest flaw, him coming in, was their defence.
Yeah, and now he's probably got arguably the best defender or best defence in the world.
Arguably the best defence in the world. Yeah.
Well, obviously, when you probably make your world team at the moment of players, probably nearly three of them get in there. Obviously, being Trent, Robbo, and Van Dijk. It's nice to feel, because I remember watching it. Our defence was terrible. It's like, how are we going to fix this? And then obviously we wanted Van Dijk for 2 years, didn't get him for the first year from Southampton, but then he came and it's been
tore it up.
Very different since then.
It's weird to think about because you remember let's go back to January 2018 when Liverpool decided to sell Philippe Coutinho for 140 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I remember Klopp saying to him, if you stay, you'll eventually have a statue here and be a champion of the club, but if you go, you're just going to be chasing trophies and not win anything. And it's proven out to be correct. But when you think about it, if he stays,
no Van Dijk, no Alisson.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had the money to buy them, and then
maybe one of them we could have bought, and the other one doesn't play, and then you got the likes of Fabinho, and it could have been a lot different side. And obviously now he wanted to return. Obviously he'd probably be a good player. Obviously you'd want him back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Star player, but I just don't think they want him. They want him, but they don't, because he kind of just abandoned us. And I'm liking them. Well, obviously the midfield's been pretty good at the moment. Obviously you got Hendo in there who's had a great season. Fabinho's one of the best midfielders in the world now, and then you got Wijnaldum, Keita, who hopefully stays fit and has a good. Because obviously if he gets back to his Leipzig days, he'll be pretty dangerous, and that's what we want him for.
It's funny to think, and also you'd probably hate to say, but selling Coutinho is probably one of the best things Liverpool have done in the past decade.
It was, and obviously when he was doing it, you're thinking...
At first it was heartbreaking, but then you realise what you got from it. Now you've won 4 major trophies in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about.
But it's obviously a good feeling. Obviously, the people at the start of the season and last season saying they won't win it. But obviously had a ripper season, only losing 1 game. Was obviously still 7 games left. Could hopefully now it's to break the points record of the league.
Which Man City currently hold at 100.
Yeah. So I think we need to win. What are we on? 80.
86, I think.
Yeah, so we need 5 wins to do it.
And if you win all 7 games, you have 107
Yeah.
points.
Which I hope we do.
Oh,
Obviously,
that is...
I won't be bummed out if we don't win it because we obviously already won the league.
But if you do, like, that would never be done again.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we keep it like that.
But I think the biggest draw away from all this is that you didn't go invincible. So apparently your title win is just automatically shit now.
Yeah, and
because you lost 1 game.
A lot of people are saying, like, on social media,
Overrated.
It's not a great season winner. It should have been void and everything. It's like, well, we've won 1 game after the break. All our other wins were when the season was normal, and we pretty much had the league won then. So you can't really say they haven't deserved it because it was a broken up season. Well, we probably still would have won the league. We nearly already won the league beforehand.
Yeah, pretty much. And like a lot of people have been saying like this season, it's like been really bad. It's like I disagree. Like I don't think it's been bad at all.
It's just that one team's dominated.
Like, yeah, sure, one team's dominated, but like the rest of the league has been really like the relegation battle right now is very interesting because there's like 5 teams that could potentially go down.
People just say that because their team's not doing that great.
Because they're just salty
say
that
it hasn't been a good league when you got Man City, who's worth too much money to think of in the league. Just they haven't been as clinical and crucial this year. You can't just say it now that Liverpool have won the league.
It's also funny to think about with so like the top scorer isn't a Liverpool player, the potential player of the year isn't a Liverpool player, and then people will still say that it's a terrible league and it has been a bad season. So, no, of course it hasn't. Like, I mean, talking about top scorers, like Danny Ings, who plays for mid-table Southampton, scoring 18 goals this season. Yeah, who would have expected that?
6 games left for Southampton. He's obviously ex-Liverpool player. Let him go, and he's had a great season.
And then you got teams like Wolves continuing what they did last year, Sheffield coming up and playing. I mean, they haven't been great since the restart.
Wolves have won their last 5 games, or they're undefeated in their last 6, 7, 8 games.
They've been really good in the Europa League as well. Leicester are top 4. Arsenal are shit house.
Arsenal obviously sitting 9th, which is a great. I think it's a great sight for every team because no one likes them. Obviously, they won last night in the last minute.
And the quarterfinal against
FA
Sheffield.
Cup. Yeah. Obviously the FA Cup's still going. Just restarted. Obviously a few great games. Sheffield with an early goal but offside.
Yeah, disallowed
and then
a penalty for
Pepe.
Arsenal.
It was a bit of a soft penalty, but he got none of the ball, so it has to be given a penalty. And then Sheffield with a late
McGoldrick got to go on the 87th.
With a terrible defence from Arsenal again. Kicking it into the back of Mustafi. Kolasinac kicking in the back of Mustafi and McGoldrick headering it in. And then
Ceballos scored a goal.
Obviously terrible defending from Sheffield. There was 2 defenders back there in the 92nd minute.
Covering Dean Henderson.
Good finish from Ceballos. And they probably deserved to win in the end.
I think they did. Because like, Sheffield just haven't been good since the restart. I think
obviously they're dropping
3 Premier League games. They've drawn 0-0 and then they lost 3-0 twice to what was it? They lost to Man United and I think Newcastle.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been great.
Obviously, the two teams that have risen a bit. Obviously, Leicester moving into the top 4 this year have dropped after the restart a bit, and then Sheffield, obviously being the big movers of the Prem this year, have dropped after the restart. Obviously, Wolves have
still good
come out firing, which I love to see. But I think if Man United win, the next game they go to 5th, and Wolves drop to 6th because of goal difference. Obviously, Tottenham is still in the race for top 6, only 7th though.
However, if they finish 7th, because, I mean, if anyone wins the FA Cup and it's not Arsenal, then we can still play Europa League.
Yeah.
So I'm banking on that because, we're not going to finish top 6 because, hang on, where am I looking?
When we go down to the relegation battle, I'm still hoping West Ham do get relegated.
It'd be pretty funny to see them get relegated, yeah.
A lot of the low sides have pretty hard schedules.
I mean, they often do.
When you look at them at the moment, I think they've got a lot of top 6 sides, all of them.
West Ham's next game is Chelsea.
Yeah, when you look at that, they've got a lot of hard games. But I hope I do hope. Well, they're obviously all on 27 points except for Norwich, aren't they?
So Norwich is on 21.
Yeah.
And then Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and West Ham are on 27. Then Watford's on 28.
Yeah. So when you think about it, if they get a draw or a goal, a win, cheeky win, the other teams in West Ham just drop points after points. You could see him in the Championship next season. Obviously,
there's a lot to love from this season. I think. Like from the smaller teams, like you've got players that you love, like Everton. Since Ancelotti's come in, like their players have really picked up. Like Calvert-Lewin. It's not just because of career mode that I love him, but I think he's been really good. Southampton, Danny Ings, and Newcastle. You've got players like, well, not Jonathan. He's been terrible, but St. Maxim's been a joy to watch sometimes. I think.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been obviously still 6 games to go. Well, 7 for some, 6 for others. Be interesting to see who gets relegated. Top 4. Obviously, the top 2 are pretty much decided.
The top 2's decided. So, Leicester on 55 points in 3rd, Chelsea 54 in 4th, and then Wolves are on 52.
It'd be nice to see Wolves finish top 4. It'd be pretty. I reckon they could.
And then Man United would go to 52
if
points
they
if they
keep
win
winning.
the next game.
If they keep winning, I reckon they'll finish above Leicester. Chelsea 3rd, Wolves 4th. I reckon it'll be Wolves or Man United in that 4th spot.
Could happen.
I think Leicester could drop out.
And if Spurs continue, I think 7th is probably where they'll finish. Depends what happens with Sheffield or even Arsenal.
Yeah, well, Arsenal just got to focus on finishing in the top half of the table. I think I don't know what's happened with Arsenal. Like they have a lot of nobodies.
It's just they've got good players. It's just their defense really overshadows the rest of the team because they're so bad.
Well, their attack's good. Pepe, Aubameyang, they've got Lacazette.
We get that Pepe's had a poor season, but he's still a good player.
Great player,
We know how good he can be
Yeah.
when he wants to be.
Their midfield's ambitious. Their defence is awful.
Yeah, it's... And then they have one of the best keepers in the league.
Who's injured? But who knows? I think I reckon it'll be a great end of the season.
What about the FA Cup? So you got 4 of the big 6. So Man City will play Arsenal because obviously they get to play an easy team.
They always get to play the easiest team in every competition.
And then Chelsea and Man United. So
I actually think the final will be City-Chelsea.
Okay.
I think they'll get over United. Doesn't matter where it is. I reckon they'll get over United. Obviously, it's at Wembley. Yeah. I reckon big final. Obviously, City will play their second team, which is worth more than half the league combined. Still, it's probably worth more than Norwich, Watford.
Probably, yeah.
Probably Sheffield's team as well, all combined plus double.
I'm just thinking, like Man United would beat Chelsea. They beat Chelsea 3 times already, and now they've got Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. I just think they'll beat Chelsea. I just think they're
Do you reckon
better.
all teams just put out their best team now?
Might as well.
So when you think about it,
Like Man City have got nothing to lose.
Chelsea
Arsenal don't.
obviously pushing still for top 4. Obviously, United are. City probably will just play their second time. It's just as good. And Arsenal, they'll be their best team. But what if an injury happens to Pogba, a Kante, like a top player from either side? You're running the risk of that happening.
Well, I think Man United and Chelsea are both. They're the teams in particular that have the most to lose from this.
Yeah.
Where,
Well, when you think about it, if they're playing each other and they both play weaker sides, then
But is it worth playing weaker sides?
yeah, because then
Because
the other team might play their best side and you've played all your weaker team and then you get smashed. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I think it should create some good games. I think Man City will dominate Arsenal once again, and I think.
It'll be fun to see.
I'm thinking 3-0 to Man
Bring
City
back
again.
flashbacks. David Luiz if he starts.
And for United and Chelsea, I'm thinking 2-1.
2
United.
Okay, I think. I'm actually gonna go. I'll give Arsenal 1 goal. We'll go 4-1 City. And I'll go 2-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
I think like a 20th minute goal and then a late one just to.
Well, in that case, who wins the final?
It's hard to go past City.
Yeah.
With the team they have, the squad they have is insane. They spend 50 mil on bench players. Clubs can't even spend 50 mil on their best player. So we'll quickly go through just some of the games that happened this week. Obviously in the Prem we've gone over the FA Cup. We'll just quickly go through and talk about a few of the games.
So this week started with Man City and Burnley.
Obviously you're not going to beat
Man City winning 5-0.
one of the boringest teams in the league versus one of the best.
So Phil Foden has been impressing again with another
After the restart,
scored
he's
2
been
goals.
pretty good, yeah.
Mara scored 2 goals and David Silva scored, which maybe one of his last for the Man City, which
Pretty easy that it was City were going to win.
yeah.
Obviously at home to Burnley, who were been alright. They're not low on the table, but they're just boring.
But then it's Man City though.
Yeah.
Like Leicester and Brighton.
Brighton
drew
0-0, so nothing to talk about that game. Obviously Leicester dropping points against teams they shouldn't drop points
Not
against
great.
at a critical time in the season.
Yeah.
Spurs West Ham.
Big win for Spurs. They needed this. I watched this game personally as a Spurs fan, and it wasn't great at first. I mean, standout players like Eric Dyer was really good in the defence, and Lo Celso played good in the midfield.
Obviously an own goal, and then Harry Kane. Who else to score for Tottenham?
Good
Harry
goal
Kane.
there. In his 200th appearance, 137th.
Jeez, that's not, okay, then we'll go Man United versus Sheffield. Obviously, great game from
Tony
Man United.
Martial,
scoring
old
a hat-trick and then winning 3-0. So Sheffield losing again.
I mean, because they didn't have Dean Henderson, obviously, because he's on loan from United.
Obviously
so he
can't
wasn't allowed to
play,
play.
but Martial getting on the score sheet there.
First Man United hat-trick since
Van Persie.
RVP in 2013, which is
A long time.
incredible.
So then we go Newcastle, Aston Villa. It was a 1-1 draw. Dwight Gale and then El Mohammadi scoring for Aston Villa.
A crucial point for Villa. They would have obviously benefited with a win, but this may help them just avoid relegation. But it's so close, you can't really tell.
Yeah. Next game was Norwich Everton. 1-0 Everton with Keane scoring. So probably another crucial win for Everton. But
Yeah, so Norwich, it's not looking.
it's
They're
game
6
over for
points. They're
Norwich,
6
I
points
reckon. I
behind.
think, well, they're going to go down. Wolves Bournemouth. Wolves just getting over the line against a team in the relegation zone, but they're still winning.
So another big win for Wolves, which they definitely needed, and of course Raul Jimenez scores.
Yeah. Who else?
I think it's like his 24th of the season.
And then we go, obviously, the game I watched, Liverpool vs Crystal Palace. Obviously, lovely goal to start off with Trent scoring the free kick. Salah, lovely goal. Fabinho's, loves a good, that's his territory, loves a good bang from there. And obviously, great ball from Salah for Mane to get number 4. A pretty dominant performance. Crystal Palace did not get a touch in their penalty box the whole game. That's
Alisson could have pulled up a chair and just relaxed.
He
Maybe
could've
had a smoke or
he
something.
could have just not been there and wouldn't have done much. But pretty dominant game. Obviously, you don't get a lot of games that you don't get a touch in your own.
No, I don't
penalty
think
box.
I've seen that before.
Mm.
Alright, so this one. Now, we predicted this would be one of the most boring games in Premier League history.
It wasn't. I think there was 8 shots. I think
they
there
both
was
had.
40 crosses.
I believe they had like 8 shots each.
And there was, I think, 70 long balls. So they were just whipping them end to end the whole game.
And it still ended 1-0 to Burnley.
So there was 40 crosses, so no one could get out on the end of it. So yeah, it was probably still pretty boring. Didn't watch it myself, to be honest.
No, I didn't either.
But
I wasn't getting up at 3 in the morning to watch that.
Burnley Watford. We'll go Southampton, Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal probably crucial points to get.
Yeah.
Obviously, they dropped points against Brighton. Probably couldn't drop any more against the lower half team. So Nketiah and Willock.
The two youngsters.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea Man City, we've already
The
discussed.
crucial game.
The big
Obviously,
game.
Pulisic scoring and then De Bruyne's amazing free kick. That didn't look like it went in. And then Willian with the pen to finish it off.
Watford, Southampton. Aston Villa Wolves.
Another
Bit of-
1-0. They just win 1-0.
I did watch that game. Very boring. There was a
Oh, yeah, alright,
there
I did
was
as well,
one
I did
case
as well.
where the keeper Neeland he tried to throw the ball, but he he sort of released it too early, went right to Jota.
And then Dendoncker gets the goal for Wolves. So obviously another crucial points for Wolves, and they're just getting over the line, 1-0.
Hey, I mean, if that's what they take, I'm sure they'll take that. And then Watford, Southampton. Southampton winning 3-1. Sorry, Danny Ings scoring 2, Bednarek scoring an own goal for Watford, and then Ward-Prowse scoring a free kick. Now Ward-Prowse, when he scores a free kick, it's always just amazing to look at. And Danny Ings just doing Danny Ings things.
Yeah.
So 18 league goals now.
Alright, so obviously we've gone over, we've gone for a bit of a change in the podcast today. Obviously, we're going to put them both together.
We'll just see how it works out.
We could do 1 or 2 a week depending on how we're going. We could put like an extra 20-minute one in there just for a bit of, just as like an extra podcast to listen to. We'd obviously like leave comments on our obviously TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube of questions you want to ask and that we can answer during the week, like headlines and what we think of players and things like that. But obviously, it's one of the segments that we've enjoyed is a few. So obviously, I'm gonna go through some stats.
Before we get there,
some transfers.
Before we get there, I've got a couple more things to talk about. The big one is that Iron Robin has decided to come out of retirement. He signed with FC Groningen in the Eredivisie. Was that one of your things that you were talking about?
Well, I was going to talk about transfers and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, and Bayern Munich playing Bayer Leverkusen in the German Domestic Cup, whatever that was called.
Yeah,
So Bayern will probably win that because they played Leverkusen a couple of weeks ago and they won like 4-2 or something. So it's another trophy for Bayern, no doubt.
Okay, so now we're just going to go through, obviously, there's been a few transfers that have started. Obviously, a few that have happened and a few that are rumoured.
Yep.
We'll start off with
the bigger ones.
We'll start off with one that's rumoured. Obviously, Guendouzi. Don't know really where he's going to go. They don't really want him. I don't think he really wants to stay there. But I think maybe Leicester might be...
Because he's not a bad player.
No, he's not a bad player. Just lost his reputation last week. And I don't think they want him anymore.
So, are you sure it's the club that doesn't want him? Because I heard it was all him, like that he just wanted to leave.
I don't know, maybe
who knows.
Not. So, the first one that happened was Thomas Meunier from PSG going to Dortmund.
Good
obviously, they lost Hakimi because he was on loan.
Yeah.
So, they had to get someone in. I think it's a pretty good replacement. Obviously, Hakimi's a very good player. Obviously,
not quite the same style of player, but yeah.
He got picked up, Hakimi.
Yeah, so he's gone to Inter, it's looking like, which is good for Inter.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I'm actually really surprised that Madrid are letting him go, considering he's actually a really good player. He's proved to be a really good player.
Yeah, but they wouldn't play him because they just play Carvajal all the time. Yeah.
True, but you think it'd be like a long-term replacement.
Yeah, and then we got something. Morgan Schneiderlin from Everton has gone to Nice in the Ligue 1.
Well, that was about to happen to see him leave Everton because since going to Everton, he never really did a lot.
No, he didn't.
Like he peaked at Southampton,
not a great player.
Went to Man United, didn't do much. Then went to Everton, he's just non-existent pretty much.
Yeah. We'll go to the big one of the transfers. It's the one between Juve and Barcelona.
This is a weird one for me. I don't know why Barcelona would get rid of like a young up-and-coming midfielder who's proved that he's really good for a past his prime 30-year-old in Pjanic. Like, it's a bargain for Juventus.
It was a player swap plus Juve paid an additional 10 mil to get Arthur over.
Oh, what are Barcelona doing?
So they're a very old side now, Barca.
It's ridiculous that they're doing that.
Well, they must have seen something in him that they needed and wanted. But who knows?
I mean, Juventus, they probably just said, it's like, how is this happening right now?
And obviously, there's obviously some sad news. Jeremy Mathieu, ex-Barcelona, now Sporting player, retired during the week. Picked up a knee injury during training and then just that was it for him.
Yeah, it sucks to see players end their careers like when it's not on the best of terms like that. Yeah, it's never good to see.
He probably just thought, I'm not gonna return from it. And he just realised that was it.
Yeah. It's the harsh reality of things.
Yeah.
So was there any other transfers? I think I saw one of... No, sorry, it wasn't a transfer. It was a contract extension at Chelsea.
Marco van Ginkel, 1 year.
2 appearances in 7 years, so he's an up-and-coming talent. I think he's like 28 or something. I don't see why if they don't play him, why would they re-sign him? Like, just let him go. Like, what's the point?
Was he injured or anything?
I don't think so. I don't really know, actually. Never really heard about him. Or anything.
We'll have to see what he's got to give.
Alright.
So it's going to be exciting times in obviously the footy, obviously its return, the Prem, last 7 games, and then obviously the Championship.
And the FA Cup as well.
The FA Cup's obviously getting down to the semi-finals with the last 4 teams, so that'll be good. We'll see who's going to finish top 4 in the Prem and who's going to get relegated, and then it's looking pretty close down in the Championship of who's going to come up, and obviously who's going to make the playoffs.
So it's looking like the top 2's almost set at this point.
West Brom, obviously there's still 7 games left in that as well.
But the playoffs is just unpredictable. Like, you never know who's going to end up finishing top 6.
So I think Leeds are 3 points ahead at the moment.
Yeah.
So they should be coming up, and then West Brom maybe, and then who knows below that.
Who do you think will come up?
Well, Brentford just had that big win against West Brom to push them up to 3rd. It's going to be... so at the moment it is Cardiff, Fulham, Nottingham Forest and Brentford.
So then there's Preston North End and Derby, 3 points out of the top 6.
I'm going to say it's going to be Leeds, West Brom and Nottingham.
Nottingham as well?
Yeah.
I don't know, but like Cardiff the other day, like last week, they beat Leeds, so...
Yeah, and then Brentford beat West Brom, so who knows?
Seems like a lot of teams have momentum coming up into the top 6, so who knows?
Good to watch. Obviously, I think the top 5 are nearly set.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So Cardiff are 4 points behind Fulham right now.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch. And obviously, the Prem top 4 is going to be a race. Relegation is very close. Obviously, the other leagues we haven't really touched on. But
so Real Madrid beat Espanyol today, so they're
2
top.
points on
2
top.
points on top.
Obviously, the Bundesliga is already done pretty much.
I think
Fine one.
Lazio lost to Atalanta, so I think Juventus are 5 points ahead now, with
4 points ahead at the moment.
4 points, with 10 games to go.
10 games to go. So I think now it's still a race to go there.
It is, but I think Juventus will hold on to it.
Bundesliga's over, Prem's over, Liga and
That was finished before.
The league is still going to be close. Can Real Madrid keep going and win it?
Yeah, I think
Maybe,
they will. I just think they're just a much better team right now over Barcelona.
So
so it's looking like good times right now, despite the circumstances, I guess.
Yeah.
Careful.
So yeah, as I touched on, this will be a combined episode. So we're still not quite sure what we'll go on with, if we keep going with the combined episodes or do 2 a week, or we could do a combined one, then a little snippet one, maybe a 20-minute podcast just on whatever to come out on the Thursday. But yeah, just make sure you check us out on all our platforms, and we'll be posting snippets of the podcast on there just to get a little teaser of what's going to come out and things like that.
So all those the podcast clips will be on TikTok specifically.
Yeah, and then we love questions to come in, because then we'll definitely answer them and have something to talk about.
Alright, so I think I'm going to wrap things up with my top 3 Premier League goals of the week.
Yeah.
Now, there's certainly been some good ones this week. So I'm going to start with some honourable mentions. For starters, both Phil Foden and Mahrez against Burnley. Now, they're both... Well, Foden in particular has proved since coming back that he's definitely a very good player.
Yeah.
And with David Silva leaving, he's the long-term replacement.
Yeah.
And his goals show it as well. Same with Mahrez. They seem to just... I watched it a while ago, but I think it was like a finesse shot to the top left or something like that. It's pretty good. But, I guess... I don't know, I've lost my way here. Next is Martial for Sheffield. Specifically, his 3rd goal. It was a good run. I think so Bruno Fernandes started with it. Then it was like a back pass to Rashford to Martial, and then he chipped the keeper. It was just a really good team goal as well. Now Pulisic versus Man City. It was just a great run from him, and he just finishes it bottom right.
Yeah.
Against
good finish.
Made Ben Mendy look incredibly slow.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so quick on the ball and just fantastic. Then we've got Danny Ings versus Watford. So his first one where just outside the box, gets past a couple of defenders and finesses it bottom right again. And then lastly for our honourable mentions, we've got James Ward-Prowse against Watford. Scores a free kick. Anytime anyone scores a free kick, I have to mention them because
you love your
any free kick, there's never really a bad one. If it's a direct free kick, they always look good.
Yeah.
This one in particular, he puts it top left. Similar to De Bruyne's goal, but not quite as aggressive.
Yeah.
But it was just a good finish. Alright, so now to my top three. So in third, it's tough. So in third, I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold versus Crystal Palace. Another free kick.
Yeah. That was a nice goal to start.
So this one was more to the right and he curls it in. I think it was just about in the middle on the right side. It was just you just know what to expect with Trent Alexander-Arnold at this point in time. It's just a good free kick taker.
Yeah.
And it shows. Then in second, De Bruyne against Chelsea. Another free kick. Now this is similar to Ward-Prowse. He just absolutely wellied it. It was just fantastic free kick.
Top left corner.
If De Bruyne isn't Player of the Year this season, I mean, he definitely should be. Now, number one.
Ooh, number one.
Now I know I love my free kicks, but I do love.
I'm surprised it wasn't a free kick, as there was a few.
I do love a good long shot as well. So this is why I've chosen Fabinho against Crystal Palace.
Area, just whacks it.
I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He gets the ball. There's no one in front of him. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to kick it as hard as I can and go bottom right or something. Wayne Hennessy was never getting anywhere near that.
No.
So top three, that is Alexander-Arnold, Kevin De Bruyne, and Fabinho winning. So Fabinho's up there with Ben Chilwell as our winners.
Yeah.
So he's currently the champion now. I'm just excited what we've got for the last 7 games of the Premier League. So hopefully we get some...
Hopefully some more free kicks for you.
Yeah, so and then this will go towards goal of the season, Dickheads Talksport goal of the season, and hopefully it might be one of these ones, or it might be one before the season was suspended. So I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning into the Dickheads Talksport podcast, and we'll see you next time.